Welcome back to Classic American Flyer Trains. Last time we talked about that 312 engine and the cars that's coupled behind it. That was my dad's growing up, and I had, that's what he used under the tree when I was growing up. Anyway, I tried to showcase the layout in my last video, show some of the detail work. With it being a 4x8, I do try to focus on the details, and eventually one day I like to expand out, maybe add a second train. But right now I'd like to showcase what I feel is the ultimate feature on here is the tunnel. I get a lot of good comments on this. The other day I had a neighbor bring her two little kids over, and her mom came over also, and they were just really amazed with everything. How the train smoke, the choo-choo sounds, and just the stuff that lights up. And the neighbor, she just thought this tunnel was just really awesome. And it's just wood framing underneath. Let me get a flashlight so we can take a look inside. I added a door in case there was any derailments or uncouples, just to make it easy to reach inside. Flashlight, because otherwise it is too dark to see in here. There we go. Huge flashlight. But anyway, this worked better on my other take, which I had to discard because it wasn't working out. But anyway, you can see how I have the strips of wood built up almost like a pyramid. I have that in like 2 or 3 different spots, a wood frame built around the tunnel openings. You can see the wood frame that I have going around with strips of wood, and that gave me a very good foundation on which to work. Then I took screen wire like for a storm door, stapled that down, used plaster, and at the time it was going to be a Christmas themed holiday layout and to be put away. So the plaster I left white, bought snow. I decided to convert it to a permanent layout some years ago, but I never really could get a town that I really liked until this past year. It just seemed like anything I did with it, it just wasn't working out for me. Anyway, though, so I had painted everything that needed to be green, left some rock facings, as we'll see, and that's all plaster, also done with paint impregnated into the plaster and stirred. And then, well, you see get out of the light here, but you can see the work. See if I can get up close for some of the detail and that. You can see traces of snow that I had put on there because, again, it was a holiday themed snow layout. I tried to get as much off as I could, but I didn't want to damage what work I had. Here's some more that I felt would be a good piece of rock facing out from the hillside. Little crevice, other end of the tunnel. But overall, after I've converted it to a summer type layout, I'm very pleased with everything. There's painted green cotton balls that's underneath the scenery material to represent clumps of trees. I'll try to focus in on that. A lot of the scenery stuff sometimes you can use with everyday things. Painted cotton balls to help build up a canopy, and then put a little bit of scenery material on top, and it kind of looks like tree tops without putting a bunch of individual trees, spending a lot of money. This layout does have to almost be a shoestring budget, just for the sheer fact that I don't have a lot of money to play with. A lot of the stuff I've added, it's been over the course of the years. I have another 312 engine that I had bought 3 years ago in the late summer of 2013, and I was working a lot of overtime. I was filling in for a position, so money was really good, and so I was able to buy that engine, which was under $100. and everything, and it looks great, and everything works beautifully on it. Works beautifully and flawlessly. There's that Marks tower I mentioned in the previous video, the two little guys inside. They're supposed to, let me see if I can make them move. Supposed to move, finger in the way. Supposed to move like that, but the coil is too noisy to have it put it on a track trip and keep having it happen on every pass, with it being such a small layout. If it was a bigger layout, it'd be different. Some of these cars I've also been able to buy inexpensively. The two hoppers and the red box car I purchased for about $35 total. The black hopper, the Wabash, has a little bit of rust on the bottom of the trucks. It was dirty when I bought it, $15. Washed it up, took some Dawn dish detergent and an old toothbrush, scrubbed it up, rinsed it off, dried it, and what I couldn't get to, let it air dry, and it looks beautiful. Same thing with the number 640 hopper. Dirty and filthy. It was $10. Brought it home. And these trucks have an interesting feature. They're screwed on instead of riveted. Well, after I took them off, cleaned those up individually in the body, dried everything, put it back together. Beautiful hopper. Same thing with the red box car. Took the body off, cleaned it up. It is probably, out of the three, the worst by far, but it's not really that bad. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but there's a few spots like on the corners around the door where you can tell the body was white, painted red. So a few little chips and marks like that, but still overall isn't bad. For the most part, all the lettering's still fairly crisp. It's not like right out of the box crisp, but still overall, for its age, getting in the light, I think it does very, very well. The two boxcars on the siding between the firehouse and the post office are Lionel produced cars from the 80s. The New York Central one I bought about a year ago, guy, I think he was asking, it was at one of the hobby shops I go to. I think it was between $25 and $30 I paid. Not really sure, but it was, I believe, still new, and it was in the original box, and I don't think it's ever been ran because the wheels were as shiny and clean as can be. The Baltimore and Ohio one was bought for me when I was only a few years old. Because every year for a number of years growing up, when I was still the only child, we had live Christmas tree downstairs, and on I want to say a 5x9 board or so, and my dad set up his American Flyer. Well, at a local hobby shop, they had found this car, still got the original box, a little bit worse for wear, still has the original price tag of $19.99 on it. But it does have sentimental meaning for me, because they had me go downstairs and check my stocking by the fireplace a couple weeks before Christmas, probably so I could have it and use it to enjoy. Let me try to bring it over, get some detail on it for you. But just knocked a tree over. But anyway, though, the doors slide open, as does the New York Central car. But this was my car to put up with my dad's train for the next several years. 83 was the last year we had used this train, and it'd be 13 years before I decided we needed to set up under a tree again. And that's an interesting story too. Seems like when you put these Flyers into long-term hibernation, things can go wrong with the reverse units and whatnot. And even though now I do have a decent understanding of the internal workings of American Flyer steam engine, and in fact on my dad's here I've replaced the fingers on the reverse unit completely, switched out the motor, the field, the armature, everything, and rebuilt the smoke unit all myself, and very, very proud of that fact. Very proud of that. And just between books, stuff on the internet, being able to be, I'm mechanically inclined. I was able to figure things out and rebuild those items to where it runs. But anyway, in Christmas of '96, that after that 13-year hiatus, decided to set it up under the tree. Just a small, simple loop, nothing big or elaborate. It started to work okay, and then it would only run in reverse. And again, this was before I had my understanding of stuff, of American Flyer steamers and such. So I did find a guy after 6 months. The first place I took it to sat in a box in pieces for 6 months because the guy said he couldn't find an armature, and that may be well true. Internet was either not around or just starting at that time. Didn't get on and find stuff as easily as you do today, especially find parts for old trains. But so finally I found out about another person that did repairs on these trains. It was in May. At that time I had already met my wife. It was just a friend at that time. When I brought this train home in a box of pieces, she was very unimpressed, but she does actually appreciate the trains now. I suppose a train in parts wouldn't be impressive, but anyway, that gentleman, which is who I deal with as far as buying Flyer stuff off of, or if something needs done on it that's beyond my capacity. Anyway, a week later, and $30 later, he had the right armature in and back together. But anyway, though, I wanted to just kind of give another tour of this layout. Like I said, there's things that need done on it. Painting road markings like that, more people, trees, whatnot. Right now it's the detailed stuff with it being a small layout. And eventually one day, hopefully get to expand out. Well, I've probably rambled on enough. I hope you've all enjoyed this little virtual tour. And we'll probably do another video sometime soon.